Healthy soil is necessary for sustaining life on Earth. Not only is soil involved in the production of 95% of Earth's food supply, but it also plays a crucial role in the water, carbon, and nitrogen cycles, among many others. Many ecosystem services are also supported by soil. Nutrient cycling is dependent upon biodiversity within the soil. Water purification, erosion, and flood control are also some of the essential aspects of the environment that are aided by soil. Harsh chemicals, overcultivation, and industrialization are leading to the decline in soil health. While humans often believe that the damage imposed upon soil can be reversed by fertilizers and synthetic applications of nutrients, the problem is much more complicated than that. Soil is composed of numerous nutrients, which are all essential for maintaining a diverse ecosystem. Carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sulfur are required in large quantities in order to promote and sustain plant life and are thus labeled macronutrients. Iron, zinc, magnesium, boron, copper, molybdenum, and chlorine are needed in lesser amounts, yet are still necessary for plant development, leading them to be called micronutrients. Physical, chemical, and biological properties differ in soils with different origins and plant diversity, thus leading the perfect soil to differ based on variables within the situation. Nitrogen is one of the most important nutrients that plants uptake. Nitrogen is found in many forms in soil, yet can only be taken up by plants in certain forms. Nitrogen is necessary for the development of amino acids, which are the building blocks of proteins. Nucleic acids, which are found in the genetic code of plants, require nitrogen as well. Nitrogen cycles through the environment and soil in a process called the nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen gas is converted to plant-usable nitrogen through nitrogen fixation, which turns the atmospheric gas into ammonia. Nitrification is when ammonium oxides to nitrate and when nitrites convert to nitrate. This process is carried out by bacteria in the soil. Plants then uptake the nitrate that's produced and use the mineral to help grow. Nitrate is very important to plant development. However, both nitrites and nitrates can be lost in the soil due to leaching, which is when the soil runs off into water sources. Toxic levels of nitrogen chemicals used for crop growth can end up in water sources and lead them to become unhealthy to life forms. Denitrification occurs when nitrate is converted into nitrogen gas and enters the atmosphere. The nitrogen is not lost after this, as it can re-enter the bio and lithosphere through bacteria fixation and through animals' organic matter being reused in the soil. Decomposers are also essential to the cycle, as they break down dead plants and recycle the nitrogen within them back into the soil in order to keep the nitrogen cycling through the earth. The more biodiversity in a soil sample, the faster bacteria can perform jobs that are essential to various cycles, and the faster and healthier plants can grow. One way to ensure soil health and a variety of nutrients is through crop rotation. Different plant families use a different amount of different minerals. For example, if one season a plant that relies heavily on nitrogen is grown in a certain area, the next season a plant that requires less nitrogen and more of another mineral is then grown there. This allows the soil to stay stable without the total destruction of one essential nutrient within a given space. Rotating crops, not only by season, but also by year, is the best way to optimize the minerals in the soil and allow for adequate time for cycles to replenish the nutrient. It is important to try and achieve the harmony naturally, as fertilizers can easily add too much of a nutrient to an area, leaving excess. The excess is typically then channeled into waterways through groundwater runoff and leads to eutrophication, which leads to the change in water properties and become toxic to humans, animals, and plants. Crop rotation is also helpful when crops with different growing seasons are combined in order to optimize time and space within a farm. Today, most large industrialized farms practice monoculture, where hundreds of acres of land only grow one crop and one nutrient is drained from the soil and needs to be chemically enhanced by harmful fertilizers. Another sustainable way to maintain soil health and obtain fruitful harvests is through cover cropping. Cover cropping is planting crops with the intent to improve the quality of the soil, suppress weeds, protect the ground, slow down erosion, and many other beneficial elements in a natural way. Cover crops can be anything from arugula to rye to red clove, just to name a few. The crop a farmer would pick to plant depends on the protection that they want. Buckwheat, for example, helps reduce the amount of weeds that grow in a certain area, since it does not take long to grow and takes up a good amount of space, leaving little resources for weeds to flourish. Manure, or animal excrement, is full of numerous beneficial properties that help with the improvement of soil health. While the exact nutrient content and concentrations depend on what the animal ate, in general, manure helps strengthen soil structure and diversity by supplying organic materials. These materials can help speed up decomposition, which allows for usable nutrients to be deposited into the soil. Compost, which is natural food that has been decomposing in a closed environment, has a similar effect on the biodiversity in soil. Composting creates a warm climate that speeds up the decomposition rate and also eliminates food waste. Both manure and composting are beneficial to the environment in more ways than one, since they typically require less transportation than fertilizers, since farmers use their own waste or waste from those around them. In addition, extra pollutants that are created from fertilizer factories are diminished. Manure and compost can also be combined together. Which method a farmer picks depends on the quality of soil they are trying to achieve. When manure and compost are combined, the heat created can kill off weed seeds, which will later benefit the farmer, saving time and for no real cost. Typically, anything that is from the earth can be put into a compost. The guidelines are fairly simple, which lead for many homes to compost and use their own food to give back to their gardens. Since not everyone has access to manure, this is a good way to gain nutrients for no cost and in limited space, although it does take time to fully decompose. While there are numerous organic ways to support soil health, the use of fertilizers is not always harmful. Organic fertilizers, which mean the nutrients are derived from once living organisms, help minimize the harmful effects fertilizers can produce. These fertilizers' nutrients are broken down by living organisms in the soil, so the potential for excess nutrients is lessened. There are many ways to promote soil health within an environment. When considering which method or methods to take, it is important to take into account the desired outcome. Nutrient cycling is also important to the overall understanding of which fertilizers or crops to plant, as they are essential to plant growth. Soil health is important as it sustains life on Earth. What goes into the soil often gets into waterways and can affect numerous organisms. Not only is plant diversity necessary, but so is a variety of organisms and nutrients. There's a finite amount of soil on Earth. We cannot wait to protect it once it is past the point of revitalization. Taking measures now to ensure health will lead to an increase of food supply as well as air quality, as photosynthesis from plants creates oxygen, which is a major component in the air. So whether it's planting a tree or trying new approaches to home gardening, everyone can make a change and help the soil, which has done so much to help human life.